Top of the morning to you. Well,
Top of the morning.
all right, all right. Uh, Elected officials have a lot here, and we're all the supervisors. We got the sheriff, we got the police chief, fire chief, and I think all these people are part Irish. Is that right? Yes. City attorney, consul general. You're Irish, okay? Okay. And there's Supervisor. No, Farrell. What happened to the O? Okay. Oh, Farrell was going to be your master of ceremonies. On behalf of the mayor, may I welcome you here today for the flying of the wonderful Irish flag in front of our beautiful City Hall and the kickoff of a long but wonderful celebration of St. Patrick's Day. It is a few days off, right? Also, I want to welcome the Grand Marshal and also the Cork City Committee for our sister city. And I see so many wonderful faces out there that come every year, and I guess it's you drink it or you use it, Irish cream, because you haven't looked a day older. So thank you all for being here. You know, we love flying the flag because the Irish community, Irish leaders that have come here during the gold rush, and some of you still here, right? You know, when our first mayor, McCoppin, was born in Ireland, and since then we've had a lot of Irish mayors, including Shelley, who a lot of us remember well, and Gavin Newsom, who is doing his job because he just had another Irish baby, who I don't know why, but they named him Dutch. So you look around San Francisco and you see all the streets that are named for wonderful Irish Americans who made San Francisco what it is, Kearney and O'Farrell and O'Shaughnessy and on and on. So now you all are keeping up your tradition with many people up here, like the chief of fire and police of Irish, and the sheriff just told me she's part Irish, and you told me you're part Irish, right?
I'm OE.
Okay.
OE.
So we honor all of you by flying your flag in front of our city hall and starting the celebration. Now, it is there is a word that they knew that our mayor was coming along, and they named a river after him, River Lee. So it is my great pleasure to introduce our Lord Mayor, Ed Lee.
All right.
You like Lord now?
Well, thank you, Charlotte. And I want to also extend my warmest welcome to all of you and to all of our elected officials here, our dignitaries, our supervisors, our assessor recorder. Just came up nice green, Carmen. Everybody's got green. I had no problem finding my green tie. You know, it sometimes says, when are you going to wear it? It's yelling at me all morning, even without the lights. But I want to say congratulations to everybody, including our labor unions. I see Mr. O'Connor there, and Firefighters Union, and some of the other labor leaders that we have. And it just reminds me of how our city has been built with the history of our Irish Americans throughout many, many years. And this is a time, an opportunity to not only celebrate the St. Patrick's Day, but also to review what the community has done for this great city over many, many decades. It's incredible when you look at the history of our city and how people have built this city and made sure that it reflected the diversity and the history of where people came from. And I know Council General is going to mention things that we are reminded about, like the Easter Rising centennial that is happening now, or the 165th anniversary of our parade and festivities in our city, gives us another great history, or the 32nd celebration of our sister city. And again, I want to say thank you to the United Irish Communities for leading the festivities and the parade, and having Grand Marshal after Grand Marshal like Mr. Boyle and others who are here today and being part of the volunteers that keep our celebrations alive, keep the history alive, or the Jim Hurleys or the John Moylan's or Dermot, who are part of the celebrations of our sister city. And as Charlotte said earlier, Anita and I had a great trip on behalf of our city to celebrate the sister city. And out of that came some extraordinary things that help our city well. For example, the first direct flight between San Francisco and Dublin. Oh gosh, that is such a wonderful, and from what I hear, it's even more successful than we thought. We knew it was going to be a groundbreaking thing, but it's even more successful as we continue this wonderful flight. And look what it's brought. It's brought kids from Cork and other parts of the city to help us with technology and to help exchanges, cultural exchanges. It has brought trade. It has brought more cultural and education exchanges. And of course, through it all, we are able to have the Taoiseach Kenny come visit, or of course, President Mike Higgins was here on several occasions, and I got to celebrate with him at the Irish Cultural Center and talk about the international significance of these exchanges. That's so many things that have happened as a result of the Sister City work and the United Irish Communities work that I want to say on the eve of our St. Patrick's Day, and to have leadership on our board like Mark Farrell and others who are leading not just board celebrations, but also the work that the board and I get to do and use the talent of our Irish American communities to help us continue building upon this wonderful history. To also have fun with things that you're going to see today, like the Irish dancers, like the pipers, who I got to invite to just even kick off things like the Mayor's Cup and have a great celebration there. These are all wonderful things that are happening with our Irish American communities. So from building our city to celebrating the culture to having wonderful talent of people to help me run it, from our public safety to our elected officials, I am so proud of our Irish American history. And with that, I'd like to provide the celebrations this morning with a declaration to be given to our Council General and to, of course, the President of our United Irish Communities. First, to Council General Philip Grant, and hereby declare this to be Irish American Friendship and Heritage Week in San Francisco. Council General. And to the President of our United Irish Societies, Liam Frost. Come on up, Liam.
Right there.
Of course, the greatest test is my Irish. And of course, on the eve of St. Patrick's Day, I've got to say, Aaron go bra. All right?
Yeah, it's good.
And that's supposed to be a transliteration of St. Patrick's Day. Of course, when I first asked about it, I had to explain it is not a professional women's soccer cry. Okay? It is St. Patrick's Day. And with that, we'll give it back to Charlotte.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you very much. Top of the morning to you. And now may I introduce Supervisor O'Farrell. You lost it somewhere.
That's right. Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you, Mayor Lee, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. It is a proud honor to continue to MC this Irish flag-raising celebration this year inside of City Hall, to carry on the tradition of former Supervisor Sean Ellsburn, who did it so ably for so long here inside of City Hall. You know, as has been mentioned, our Irish community has strong roots here in San Francisco. For generations, dating back to the Gold Rush, we have built this city. We continue to sustain it. We continue to work in it, be part of our community, emblazoned by places such as the Irish Cultural Center out in the Sunset, and so many other things that we do as a community here in San Francisco. I am very much proud to be part of it, proud to have Irish heritage in my blood, proud to have spent over a year and a half living in Ireland after college, and proud that we actually brought the Irish weather with us today here for the celebration. So I want to start off by introducing someone who's been here now with us for a number of years and who's a great friend to our community. Philip Grant has been with the Irish Foreign Ministry since 1992. Prior to his appointment of Consul General here out in San Francisco, he was spokesperson and director for press and media relations for the Foreign Ministry for 4 years. He was also in San Francisco in September 30th of 2013 when he was sworn in. So he's been here with us for a number of years. He has been a true leader for us as we've gone through not only, I would say, the normal course here in our Irish community, but certainly last year in Berkeley, you've been a rock for our community, and I want to thank you, and I want to welcome you up.
Gamanadív, Falcherot Galair. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you to Mayor Lee. Thank you to Supervisor Farrell, the Board of Supervisors, and everybody who's come here this morning. First of all, on behalf of myself and the Consulate, I would just like to extend my condolences to the Grand Marshal and his family for the loss that their family suffered this week. The Consulate too lost a very important member of our staff, Joan Furlong, who many of you would have known, who worked for the Consulate for 17 years. And her funeral is today, and our thoughts and our prayers are with her family. This time of year is one where we seem to encounter a lot of people of our community who pass away and pass on. And I find it especially touching because of the tragedy that enveloped our community last year in Berkeley. And before talking about the parade and the events, because this is kind of the opportunity I have, I just want to extend the biggest thank you to all of you. And I just want to name a few people because without them and their assistance and their cooperation, our students and their families and everyone who was involved in what happened in Berkeley back on the 16th of June, it would have been a very, very different and much more difficult task that we had. I would like to thank Charlotte Schultz because her team at SFO, who worked closely with Aer Lingus, did miracles to make sure that we could bring our students home together with their families on that unhappy day. And I don't know if there's a better airport in America than SFO, but certainly they could not have done more for us in those troubled weeks and months. I'd like to thank the Chief of Police. I'd like to thank the Chief of the Fire Service. They provided lines of honour as the coffins went through the city. The Chief of the Fire Service was instrumental in making the connections for us with her colleagues in Berkeley. The police and the fire service in Berkeley let us operate out of their headquarters for a week in the middle of that trauma. And I'm sure in no one's crisis management book is there something to say that a foreign consulate is going to arrive on your doorstep, and closely attended by their side will be a pastoral and immigration centre, 100 volunteers, up to 500 students, their families and the counsellors. I don't think there was a door I had to open for myself. I don't think I had to get food for myself. I don't think I had to travel anywhere because the police and the fire services in San Francisco and in Berkeley did everything for us. So on your behalf and on my behalf, I'd like to say a very real, a very appreciative thank you to all of them. Thank you. I have a long line of these in my office. Some of them go back to the 1960s. And you look at these and you sometimes wonder, they're words, but do they mean anything? And we found out last year how much they actually do mean. There's a lovely photograph on the Facebook page of one of the mothers who lost one of her children in the balcony collapse. And she's based here. She's in Ronit Park. And Ashley Donoghue was her daughter. And her cousin was Olivia Burke. And there's a photograph of them meeting at the airport when Olivia arrived to start her studentship here. And it says, the most important thing that we can hold on to in life are each other. And I want to say thank you to the city of San Francisco, to the people of San Francisco, and to the wider Bay Area for holding on to us at a very difficult period in the life of the community, Irish community here in the Bay Area. So thank you all. We're 6 weeks away from marking the 100th anniversary of the Declaration of the Irish Republic, the Proclamation, and the Easter Rising. And that was a seminal event in Irish history. It changed the nature of the relationships on the island of Ireland, between Ireland and the neighbouring Ireland of Great Britain, our relationship with the United States, and our relationships with Europe. And I'm very conscious that it means different things to different people, And while the Irish know all about it, Irish Americans know somewhat about it, most Americans are not necessarily familiar with what it was and what it stood for. And I've tried to find a kernel that says why it's important for everybody and why it's important that our parade here mark that occasion and how it ties us in to the communities here in America and particularly in San Francisco. And the word I would use is injustice. What caused the men and women of Easter 1916 to stand up in rebellion? They were a minority. Their leadership had actually told them to stay at home. But something compelled them to take to the streets. And even at a time of conflict with the First World War waging and other Irish men serving in British forces, and later on we would have many Irish Americans and Irish serving with the American forces in the war, what compelled them to act? And it was injustice. It was the history of centuries of injustice, of being third-class subjects in some other people's empire. And that resonated very much with the Irish experience in America, coming here to that first great republic. If you read the words of our proclamation, they echo the words of your own founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence. If you look at the names of the signatories who signed our proclamation, the majority of them spent time in America and had the closest of family ties to America. America is the only nation that's mentioned specifically in the Irish Declaration of Independence. And that's one reason why we mark that occasion. But that theme of injustice, when they rose up, they weren't welcomed with open arms by the population of Dublin or the country. In those first horrible days after the shelling and the killings, they were insulted, they were spat on. And what changed? What brought the rest of the country to their point of view, to seeing things through their eyes? And again, we come back to injustice. It's what we saw happen in the immediate aftermath of the risings, the executions, the arrests, the imposition of martial law. And you go back to that whole thing, that the very thing they had stood up to protest and say, we're doing this because we have to, because of this great injustice, the same hands that were responsible for that injustice were the same hands that signed the certificates that led to their deaths. And Irish people had had enough injustice. And the theme of injustice is something that links us to other peoples in other parts of the world. I was at an event last night where we had Tim Egan, who's a New York Times journalist, talking about an Irish patriot from the 1840s. And he mentioned the figure, 1.5 million Irish showing up on the shores of America in the 1850s. 1.5 million, starving, uneducated, illiterate, no skills, unwanted, having to be accommodated. The first set of refugees that this country really had to absorb and wanting a part in the American dream. And I think today, you read the newspapers and there's 1.5 million Syrians sitting on the doorsteps of Europe trying to escape injustice, trying to escape unfairness. And if I ask myself, who are the revolutionaries and visionaries of Ireland today, and where are they and what are they doing? I'm very proud that there are Irish people who are running the refugee camps in Turkey and in Lebanon. I'm very proud that there are Irish organizations here in this city who reach out to communities in South America and in Africa. Because the lesson of 1916 for us, which we should commemorate and remember, and why people throughout the centuries have laid down their lives for the causes that we believe in, is fundamentally that this is a battle against injustice. And that injustice is something which still takes place in the world around us. And we have the responsibility as victims of injustice to respond to those in need and to respond to the problems of the world and try to find solutions so that other peoples, like our people, don't have to turn outside for help and assistance, and that down the line they can go home. The city of San Francisco stands for many things, but one of the greatest things that it stands for is fairness and equality and inclusiveness. It's a side of this city that the Irish experienced when they came out here first. Because unlike the Irish on the East Coast, they were the first arrivals out here. They didn't face the same pressures that they had on the East Coast of acceptance and finding their way in America. the first St. Patrick's Day parade started as a civil rights march, an effort on behalf of the Irish to say, we're here, we're part of your society, we want to be part of your society. What we're bringing you is something that you can cherish, that you can incorporate in the American dream. Let us help you build up your country and your society. And when I look out here today and over the next few weeks, I see the benefit that's emerged from that strength of that relationship between Ireland and America. So I apologize for going on a little bit longer than I usually do, but I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for all that you do in this city. Thank you for all that you do to other causes and in the struggle for injustice wherever it may be. Thank you.
Thank you, Consul General. And I do want to acknowledge some individuals that are up here, just to make sure everyone knows who is standing with us as an Irish community here today. We'll bring up Liam Frost in a minute, but two of the stalwarts of our Irish community, Angus and Celine, who are here, commissioners here for the City and County of San Francisco. I'm sure many don't need introduction, but I think we should recognize them, specifically our Fire Chief, Joanna Hayes-White, our Police Chief, Greg Sir, our City Attorney, Dennis Herrera, and we've heard from Consul General Grant, Mayor Lee, Charlotte Schultz as well. Supervisor Norm Yee is here, who represents many in the Irish community out in the Sunset District. Vicki Hennessy, our Sheriff. Alex Randolph from our Board of City College. Carmen Chu, our amazing assessor recorder. And Scott Wiener, our supervisor from District 8. So I would like to bring up now someone who's been very involved in our Irish community. He is a born and raised San Franciscan, was in our police department for 31 years, retired as a lieutenant. He is the president of the United Irish Society this year, Mr. Liam Frost.
Thank you. First off, I want to offer the condolences of the entire Irish community to Mr. and Mrs. Boyle on the passing of their son, Terrence. At the dinner the other night, I had coached Terrence in soccer at Sacred Heart High School, and I looked at Terrence. I wasn't sure if he'd remember me, but I went up there and he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember you. You made me run a lot." But I was thinking about it when I got the call a couple of days later about the tragedy, and I was happy that I made that approach to Terrence. But I do have a bit of a personal request. Our Grand Marshal Jerry said he was up near the stage at the dinner and a picture was taken of him, his son Charlie, and his son Terrence. He thought I had taken the picture. I had not. So I need everybody here to go on social media to find out who took that picture so that we can get that picture to Jerry. So please do me that favor. I want to say welcome to everybody that came down here. Thank goodness they named all the honored guests, so I don't have to repeat that. I'm happy about that. But I appreciate you all coming out here. When I got up this morning, I saw the rain. I was like, oh, we're going to have a light crowd. But that's not true. So I'm happy that you all took the time to come down here and celebrate with us, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the 1916 Rising. And I do want to thank the San Francisco Pipers that came out, the Murphy, the Whelan, Kennelly, dance group. Thank you for coming out. Putting on the festival and the parade is a huge endeavor. My board of directors and some of the assistants that help them are awesome, and I really appreciate it. It's pretty easy for me to sit at that head table and take a lot of the accolades and smile and shake hands, but it's them, those people that do the work. And then the same thing goes along for the city, running around. From the SFMTA, I got Merrill Klein, who did a great job for me. Mayor, you can be proud of all your departments, all stepping up. You know, everybody sees red tape, but when you talk to the individual and they get things done for you, it's amazing. I also have Diane Ray and Telma Perez from the Park and Rec, Chief Joanne Hayes White and her staff for getting the permits into the plaza. Greg Sir and his staff at Northern Station and Central Station. I got Captain Lazar, I got Acting Captain Jennifer Jackson, and then their staff of Sergeant Moreno, Lynn Pomado, and Pat Tobin. You know, they did a great job. And I would like to take this opportunity, because law enforcement in our country has taken a big hit. I want to say thank you to Greg Sir for the job his men and women do every day for us. And I want to offer my congratulations and condolences to the hit she's going to take on the new position, Sheriff Vicki Hennessy. But thank you. I'd like to congratulate Jerry Boyle on becoming the Grand Marshal, and the families of Ed and Maggie McGovern, as well as Michael Durkin. It's a huge honor to be named the Grand Marshal and the Honorary Grand Marshal, but it's also a lot of work. And we appreciate that you agreed to not only be honored, let us honor you, but for the work that is involved in that. I think now I make the presentations to the Grand Marshal. Is that what I do now? Good idea. Thank you. My second year here, Dermot does it so much better. First off, I'd like to call up Jerry Boyle. This is from Certificate of Honor presented to Jerry Boyle, whereas on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I am pleased to recognize and honor Jerry Boyle for his many contributions to the Irish community. It is my great privilege to honor him on the occasion of his selection by the United Irish Societies of San Francisco as a Grand Marshal of the 165th Annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. Congratulations, Jerry.
Thank you, Lee. I would like to thank the United Irish Societies for giving me this honor. I am really overwhelmed, something I never thought I would see or be in. And I also would like to say that San Francisco has always been very deeply involved in Ireland's struggle for freedom. The Ancient Order of Hibernians, the Rebel Corks, the Knights of the Red Branch, all played their part in building up the Rising of 1916. And this should not be forgotten. And I also would like to say that I am especially honored this year because it is the centennial of the Rising of 1916. And when you look at the Irish flag today and you put it up, remember it flew over the GPO in 1916 as bombs and bullets blasted it to smithereens. Remember the words of Padraig Pearse, Ireland unfree will never be at peace.
And our first honorary Grand Marshal, Michael Durkin, I'd like to bring his wife Mary up. Or the whole family if they would like to. Whereas, on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I am pleased to recognize and honor the memory of Mike Durkin for his many contributions to the Irish community. It is my great privilege and honor in his memory on the occasion of his selection by the United Irish Societies of San Francisco as an honorary Grand Marshal of the 165th St. Patrick's Day Parade. And Mike's daughter, Shannon. Thank you. Now I'll bring up the family of Ed and Maggie McGovern. Here comes Brian. Big family. He gets nominated to come up. Whereas on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I am pleased to recognize and honor the memory of Ed and Maggie McGovern for their many contributions to the Irish American community. It is my great privilege to honor their memory on the occasion of their selection by the United Irish Societies of San Francisco as honorary Grand Marshals of the 165th Annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. Congratulations to Ed and Maggie McGovern. Thank you, Brian. This is the season to be Irish for the next couple of weeks, so I invite everybody in the city and in the Bay Area to become Irish and celebrate with us, honoring the 1916 Rising, Easter Rising. And now I'd like to bring up Kevin Birmingham, who has a gift for our mayor.
Just want to say one quick thank you to who puts this on today, Caitlin Jacobson. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Through San Francisco's sister city, Cork City, runs a river known as the Lee River, and it seems like every other year we get something from the Lee River Leather Company, and the other year we get whiskey for the mayor. So enjoy this gift this year, and next year you know what you're waiting for. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. And I want to, on behalf of the city and county, also want to acknowledge all of the Grand Marshals, to the honorary members, and to your families, our condolences. And actually, to Mr. Boyle, we have something to present to you as well. So if you come up very quickly on the honor of the 100th anniversary of what we're celebrating today, and certainly given your comments, first of all, I do want to say on behalf of the entire city and county of San Francisco, our condolences as well that have been mentioned for your loss this week. And on the honor of this 100th anniversary, present you with a copy of the 1916 Irish Republic Declaration. So with that, we're going to turn to the incredibly fun part of our celebration every single year. We are very blessed in our city to have a number of Irish dancing groups, as well as the Bushmills Irish Piper Band. First, we want to call up the Murphy School. The Murphy School of Irish Dance started with 35 members, and today the company boasts up to 175 at any given time. So I want to welcome them forward. Up next, we have the Wayland Kennelly School of Dance as well.
To the left. New time is T-minus 10, 9, 8. The clock is operating. We're underway. Tranquility Base is Endeavor. Go at throttle.
Well, thank you very much. And now we have a few certificates of honor for the groups. So first of all, for the Wayland Kennelly group, the Irish dancers, please come on up. And the Murphy School of Irish Dance. As well as for the Irish Pipers Band of San Francisco. Well, thank you again, everybody, for coming here today. We're going to wrap up. A huge thanks on everyone's behalf for Charlotte Maillard Schultz for all of her hard work on this. Always the best dressed woman in San Francisco and never fails to amaze. Thank you all for being here. Happy beginning to our Irish Heritage Month truly here in San Francisco. Thank you everybody for wearing green. And more than anything right now, I want to also say a tradition that was started by Supervisor Ellsburn. I want to welcome everyone back to my office, room 279. There is food, and as we all know, there is drink as well. So please come and enjoy it, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.